Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started. The 2025 Formula One season has been anything but smooth for Ferrari. Entering the year with high expectations, the team has faced more challenges than breakthroughs. The SF25, Ferrari's current challenger, has displayed glimpses of competitiveness, particularly in low-fuel situations such as qualifying sessions or late stints in races. However, overall, the car remains inconsistent, extremely sensitive to setup changes, and reliant on a very narrow operating window, significantly limiting what the drivers can achieve on race day. Despite these limitations, Ferrari remains committed to developing the current package. That decision alone speaks volumes about the confidence the team still has in the SF25's core concept. A new upgrade package is set to debut at this weekend's Austrian Grand Prix. The main objective? To reduce the car's dependency on a driving technique known as lift and coast. For those unfamiliar with it, lift and coast is when a driver eases off the throttle well before the braking zone to save fuel, protect the hybrid systems, or control brake temperatures. It's a necessary tactic under certain conditions, but it compromises pace and limits the driver's ability to attack or defend, often when it matters most. Between the Spanish and Canadian Grands Prix, the impact of this technique on Ferrari's race performance became glaringly obvious. In Spain, for example, Charles Leclerc had to frequently lift early to avoid excessive wear on the car's underfloor skid block, the same component that led to Ferrari's disqualification in China earlier in the season. In Canada, the issue was different, but the result was the same. An aggressive setup forced the team to ask their drivers to lift early to keep brake temperatures under control. In both cases, potential race results were compromised. This is why the upcoming updates are so critical. The new components are designed to reduce the need for lift and coast and to improve the overall balance of the car, especially on high downforce circuits. With these changes, the team hopes to give the drivers more flexibility in terms of race strategy and enable them to push the car harder when it counts. Still, even with these efforts, expectations must remain measured. Some of Ferrari's issues appear to be structural and cannot be resolved overnight. Nonetheless, the team believes the gap to rivals can be narrowed in circuits that demand precise setups and aerodynamic efficiency. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Ferrari has already started to shift some of its attention to the 2026 regulations. Development of the current car in the wind tunnel will be halted this June, allowing engineers to fully dedicate the facility to the all-new car architecture required for the next generation of F1 machinery. The 2026 rulebook introduces sweeping changes in chassis design, power unit integration, and aerodynamics, and Ferrari must make key decisions between June and July, including suspension geometry, aerodynamic platform, and overall packaging. These early choices are critical, and much of them will be informed by what the team continues to learn from the SF25. So, even though the 2025 campaign remains in full swing, the car is effectively becoming a development tool for the future. The challenge now is to find a balance. Keep pushing to salvage what's left of 2025 without compromising the head start needed for 2026. A new Formula One team is preparing to enter the grid, and behind-the-scenes negotiations are heating up. Cadillac, the American brand set to debut in F1 in 2026 using Ferrari power units, has already started discussions with potential drivers. According to motorsport.com, Valtteri Bottas has emerged as the leading candidate to spearhead the ambitious project. Top representatives from Cadillac are scheduled to meet with several driver candidates during the British Grand Prix weekend at Silverstone. The team's goal is to confirm and announce their first driver in the coming weeks, aiming to establish a solid foundation before 2026 testing begins. Bottas, who was released by Sauber at the end of 2024, has expressed his desire to return to the F1 grid. Recently, he has hinted at potential negotiations through subtle posts on social media, including a video in which he is seen driving a Cadillac. In the clip, he comments on the car's 2 seats and casually points out that both are currently free, a statement that many interpret as a not-so-subtle nod to Cadillac's upcoming F1 debut. While Bottas stands out as the leading candidate, he is not the only name under serious consideration. Brazilian driver Felipe Drugovich is also in the mix. Drugovich has been a reserve driver for Aston Martin for 3 seasons and is reportedly eager to secure a full-time race seat. According to insiders in the paddock, he has turned down offers from other racing series to remain focused on breaking into F1. His persistence and consistent presence in the sport's inner circles have made him a favorite, particularly if Cadillac chooses to pair an experienced driver with a rising talent. In fact, this scenario, a veteran and a young driver, seems to be Cadillac's most likely strategy. Bottas would bring crucial race experience, technical knowledge, and leadership to a brand new team, while Drugovich represents youthful energy and long-term potential. The Bottas-Drugovich pairing would strike a balance between stability and future development, giving Cadillac a versatile and marketable driver lineup. However, there's still the possibility that Cadillac could opt for a duo composed entirely of veterans. In that case, Bottas and Sergio Perez could end up sharing the garage. Perez, who left Red Bull at the end of 2024, has been linked to various teams, including Cadillac, but his absence from the paddock in recent months has reportedly weakened his chances. Still, his experience, particularly in managing race strategies and high-pressure scenarios, could be valuable for a debuting team like Cadillac. Ultimately, the direction Cadillac chooses will reveal much about their vision for the future. Do they want to hit the ground running with a pair of proven race winners? Or would they prefer a mix of experience and fresh blood to build a long-term project? Either way, the team has clearly set its sights high, and their debut is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing stories leading into the 2026 season. The choice for the first driver is expected to be finalized soon, possibly before the end of July. Discussions regarding the second seat, however, are expected to continue until at least September, giving Cadillac time to evaluate how various options align with their strategic goals. With names like Bottas, Drugovich, and Perez in the conversation, it's clear that Cadillac is aiming to be more than just another new team on the grid. They want to be competitive from the outset, and the caliber of drivers they are pursuing reflects that ambition. The Formula One driver market for 2026 is already heating up, and all signs point to a potential chain reaction once a single top driver makes a move. While the spotlight remains firmly on what will happen with Max Verstappen, George Russell, and Charles Leclerc, another team quietly preparing for major changes is Racing Bulls, Red Bull's sister team. According to BBC journalist Andrew Benson, at least one, and possibly both current Racing Bulls drivers could be replaced for the 2026 season. It's a familiar scenario for Red Bull's junior program, which has long been known for making swift, performance-driven decisions when it comes to its driver lineup. The latest shakeup began earlier in the 2025 season when the team swapped Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda, reportedly to test whether Tsunoda could match Verstappen's pace and potentially become a long-term option for the main Red Bull seat. However, that gamble hasn't yielded the results the team was hoping for. While Tsunoda has continued to struggle with consistency, the driver truly making a name for himself is Isack Hadjar. The Frenchman has already scored points in 5 of the 10 races so far this season, an impressive feat for a driver in a secondary team. He currently sits 10th in the Drivers' Championship, outperforming expectations and putting himself firmly in the conversation for a permanent seat in 2026. But the biggest name emerging in the background is Arvid Lindblad, a British rookie currently racing in Formula 2. Despite it being his first season in the category, Lindblad is already 3rd in the standings and catching the eye of Red Bull management. According to Benson, there is a high probability that Lindblad will make his Formula One debut in 2026 with Racing Bulls. If that scenario plays out, a likely driver pairing for Racing Bulls next season could be Hadjar and Lindblad, a mix of proven F1 promise and fresh F2 talent. However, there are still many moving pieces. Both Tsunoda and Lawson are under pressure to deliver results before the end of the season. And with Red Bull's history of making abrupt changes when performance is lacking, nothing is guaranteed for either driver. Lindblad's rise through the ranks has been rapid, and Red Bull appears eager to capitalize on his momentum before rival teams show interest. Promoting a driver directly from Formula 2 to Formula 1 is nothing new for the Red Bull system, which famously did the same with Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen, and those decisions paid off handsomely. Meanwhile, Hadjar's steady performance in 2025 is building a strong case for retention. If he continues at this pace, he could cement himself as the cornerstone of Racing Bull's lineup, possibly even putting himself in contention for a future seat at Red Bull Racing. The bigger question is whether Red Bull is being fair to its young drivers. Their program is known for being ruthless, often giving drivers little time to prove themselves before being replaced. It's a system that has created stars, but also left several promising talents by the wayside. As the 2025 season unfolds, the final decision on Racing Bull's 2026 lineup will likely depend on performance trends over the next several months. With internal evaluations ongoing and external pressure mounting, the next few races could be make or break for drivers like Tsunoda and Lawson. So what do you think? Who should Racing Bulls choose for their 2026 campaign? Should they bet on youth with Lindblad and Hadjar, or keep some experience in the garage with Tsunoda or Lawson? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for daily updates on all things F1, from behind-the-scenes rumors to on-track drama.